There's a moment no dog owner likes to admit hurts. You feed them. You worry about them. You are the one who notices when they eat slower, sleep differently, breathe strangely, or look at you with eyes that seem a little too quiet. You buy the food. You wash the bowls. You remember the vet appointments, you clean the mess. But when the door opens, then your dog runs past you to someone else. And you smile because it feels silly to be hurt by something so small. But somewhere inside, it does hurt, because the real question is not, who does my dog like more? The real question is much deeper. Does my dog know what I am to them? And even more quietly, does my dog love me? Or am I just the person who opens the cans? A neuroscientist named Gregory Berns once lived with a pug named Newton. For 15 years, Newton was part of the ordinary rhythm of his life. The couch, the walks, the familiar weight of a small dog pressing into his leg while he worked. The kind of presence that becomes so normal, you forget it is temporary. Then Newton's spine failed. His back leg stopped working. And on his final day, Berns held him, watched him take one last breath, and felt the room change. In that silence, one question stayed behind. After all those years, did Newton truly love him? Did any of it mean what humans hope it means? Or was Newton simply attached to the food, the warmth, the routine, and the hand that cared for him? That question did not leave Berns. It followed him into the next decade of his work, and eventually it would lead to dogs lying awake inside brain scanners, to experiments with praise and food, and to one discovery every dog owner should understand. When your dog chooses their person, they are not only choosing who gives them the most, they may be choosing the person whose presence makes the world feel safe enough to breathe. Most people explain this too simply. They say dogs bond with whoever feeds them. And yes, food matters. They say dogs attach during the first months of life. And yes, early social experience matters deeply. They say dogs prefer the person whose energy matches theirs. And yes, that can matter too. But those answers do not reach the deepest layer. Your dog is not sitting in the corner, counting treats, walks, and belly rubs. A dog's brain is asking an older survival question. Who makes the world easier to understand? Not perfect. Not always cheerful, not the loudest. Not even always the most affectionate, the safest, the most readable. The person whose voice rises and falls in a pattern the dog can predict. The person whose hands do not move too suddenly. The person whose body language does not change from warm to sharp without warning. The person whose presence allows the dog's nervous system to stop scanning the room for danger. That is the person a dog begins to file under one word. Safe. And for a dog, safe is not a small word. Safe is permission. Permission to rest. Permission to play. Permission to sniff the corner of the room without keeping one eye on the door. Permission to sleep deeply enough that the ears finally soften. According to the RSPCA, dogs communicate stress and comfort through subtle body language. Soft eyes, relaxed ears, loose shoulders, slow breathing, a mouth without tension. But many humans only notice the big signs, the barking, the jumping, the licking, the excitement at the door. Those moments are real, but they are not the only language of love. Excitement can happen with many people. Deep relaxation is more selective. A dog may wag at a visitor. A dog may beg food from a stranger. A dog may play with anyone who throws the ball. But the person they fully relax beside, that person has reached a different place in the dog's mind. Behavioral research calls part of this the secure base effect. and it is one of the most beautiful ideas in dog-human bonding. In one study, that dogs were brought into an unfamiliar room and given puzzle toys. Simple objects they had to nudge, paw, or move to reach a treat. Then researchers changed one thing: who was present. When the dog's owner sat nearby, not helping, not speaking, not directing, just sitting there, the dogs explored more, they worked longer, they tried more, they stayed engaged. But when the owner left and a friendly stranger sat in the same place, doing the same quiet nothing, the dogs did not respond the same way. The stranger was not dangerous. The stranger was not cruel. The stranger was perfectly kind. But the dogs could not use them in the same way. The owner's presence did something invisible. It lowered the emotional alarm. It made the room feel possible. This idea comes from human infant psychology. A child in an unfamiliar room explores more when a trusted caregiver is nearby. Not because the caregiver is solving the puzzle, but because the caregiver's presence tells the nervous system, "You are not alone here." Dogs appear to use trusted humans in a similar way. And once you understand that, your dog's favorite person begins to look different. It may not be the person who creates the most excitement. It may be the person whose presence makes them brave. Brave enough to sniff. Brave enough to play. Brave enough to sleep. Brave enough to turn their back on the room for a moment, because someone safe is nearby. This is why a dog may seem attached to the quiet person in the house. The one who does not make a big performance. The one who sits calmly. The one who lets the dog approach at their own pace. To a human, that may look like doing nothing. To a dog, it can feel like shelter. Your dog does not always choose the loudest love. They often choose the safest rhythm, and this is where many owners misunderstand their dog. They think love must look dramatic. The dog jumping. The dog whining. The dog spinning in circles. The dog licking their face until they laugh. But sometimes, love looks like a dog sleeping with their back turned toward you, because they trust you enough not to watch you. Sometimes love looks like a dog bringing a toy, then walking away, because sharing the object mattered more than playing with it. Sometimes love looks like a dog leaning against your leg during a storm, not asking for anything, just needing your body to be there. Sometimes love looks like one glance, a tiny check-in. Are you calm? Are we safe? Can I keep going? And if you become the answer to those questions often enough, you become more than a caretaker. You become a reference point, a living signal that the world is manageable. But this bond is not only behavior, it is chemistry. Researchers at Azabu University in Japan studied what happens when dogs and their owners simply spend time together, not performing, not training, just being in the same room, talking, petting, looking at each other. Before and after the interaction, researchers measured oxytocin levels. Oxytocin plays a role in social bonding, caregiving, and emotional connection. And the findings were remarkable. When dogs held more eye contact with their owners, their oxytocin increased, but the owner's oxytocin increased too. It was not one way. The dog looked at the human softened. The voice changed. The hand reached out more gently. The dog received that warmth, and the loop strengthened. A gaze became chemistry. Chemistry became closeness. Closeness became trust. But the most important part is what happened with wolves. Even wolves raised by humans did not show the same mutual gaze pattern. They did not hold eye contact with people in the same way. The same oxytocin loop did not appear. Research suggests dogs became unusually tuned to human faces, voices, and emotional signals through domestication. They did not simply learn to live near us, they evolved toward us. So when your dog looks into your eyes for one extra second, there may be more happening than you think. They may not be asking for food. They may not be waiting for a command. They may be touching an ancient bridge between two species. A bridge built from attention, softness, and trust. And maybe that is why a dog's gaze can feel so different. Not because we imagine everything, but because something real may be happening between two nervous systems. Still, Gregory Berns wanted something even clearer. He did not want to only observe behavior. He wanted to see what was happening inside the dog's brain. After Newton died, Berns adopted a shy terrier mix named Callie, and he began training her to do something extraordinary, to lie still inside an fMRI scanner while awake. No sedation, no restraint, no force, just patient training, trust, and reward-based cooperation. This matters because a sleeping or sedated dog cannot show the same emotional brain response as an awake dog making sense of the world. Callie became the first, then more dogs followed. Eventually, Berns and his team were able to study awake dogs while they processed human signals: praise, scent, and reward. And one experiment went directly into the question Newton had left behind. Do dogs value their humans only because humans provide food? Or can the human themselves become rewarding? In the study, dogs were trained to associate one object with food and another object with praise from their owner. Then researchers watched the brain. They focused on the caudate nucleus, a region involved in the anticipation of good things. In many dogs, praise from the owner activated this reward area as strongly as food did. In some dogs, even more strongly. Think about that. For those dogs, the owner's voice was not background noise. It was not just a command, it was not only a sound. It carried emotional value. It meant something good was coming, even before anything appeared in the bowl. Then came another test, a choice. One path led to food. The other path led to the owner. Trial after trial, the dogs had to choose. And many of them chose their person more often than the food. Not all, because dogs are individuals. Some dogs are more food motivated. Some dogs are more socially motivated. Some have different histories, different drives, different emotional wiring. There was even one dog named Ozzy who famously chose food every time. And that does not make Ozzy a bad dog. It makes him Ozzy. Every dog runs their own emotional calculation, but for many dogs, the result was clear. Their person was not just the source of reward, their person was part of the reward. The dogs whose brains responded more strongly to praise were often the same dogs who chose their human over food. So if you have ever wondered, am I just the hand that feeds? The answer may be no. For many dogs, you are not just the provider. You are the signal that home exists. Your voice can become a place where fear gets smaller, a place where the body softens, a place where the dog remembers. I know this world. I know this person. I am safe here. But now we need to talk about the part that hurts, because some of you watching this already know or suspect that you are not your dog's number one person. You may be the one doing the most. You may be the responsible one. You may be the one who remembers the medication, washes the blankets, schedules the grooming, fills the water, and notices when something is wrong. And still, when your dog is scared, they go to someone else. When they are excited, they run to someone else. When they want to sleep, they choose someone else's room. It can feel unfair. It can feel like rejection. But this is where understanding dogs requires tenderness. Because your dog is not judging your worth. Your dog is not comparing love in the human way. Your dog's nervous system is searching for the signal it can read most easily. A nervous dog may choose the calmest person in the house, even if that person does less. An anxious dog may choose the person with the most predictable voice. A sensitive dog may choose the person who does not lean over them, grab at them, or demand constant affection. A dog with a difficult past may choose the person who feels least complicated. Not the most loving, not the most devoted, the least threatening to their nervous system. That is not an insult, it is information. And if your dog bonded with someone else during their earliest social months, that can matter too. Early experience creates templates. The first safe person, the first familiar rhythm, the first body that felt like protection. Those patterns can go deep, but they are not a life sentence. Dogs can build new attachments. They can shift trust. They can expand their circle of safety. The goal is not to replace someone else in your dog's heart. The goal is to become another place of safety. And that does not happen through grand gestures. It does not happen through forcing closeness. It does not happen through trying to become alpha. This is also why the old alpha idea does not belong here. L. David Meck, whose wolf research was often misunderstood, later clarified that the popular alpha wolf concept came from unnatural captive wolf groupings. Dogs do not build trust through domination. They build it through safety, clarity, and repeated positive experiences. According to APDT principles and modern reward-based training standards, trust grows through consistency, positive reinforcement, clear communication, and respect for the dog's emotional state. Your dog does not need a ruler. Your dog needs a readable human, a person who shows up the same way often enough that the body can believe it. So if you want to become safer to your dog, begin small. Lower your voice. Move slower. Stop reaching over their head if they pull away. Do not call them 10 times and turn hurt when they hesitate. Do not make every interaction a test of love. Sit near them without demanding anything. Let them choose to come closer. Reward small check-ins. Notice when they soften. Notice when they look back. Notice when they stay. Trust grows in quiet repetitions. A bowl of food can create interest. A routine can create expectation. But safety is built when nothing dramatic happens. Again and again. You sit. They rest. You speak. Nothing bad follows. You reach. You stop when they show discomfort. You leave. You come back. The world becomes predictable. And one day, the dog who used to sleep across the room may choose the rug near your feet. Not because you won, because their nervous system finally believed you. That is the part people miss. Being your dog's person is not always a title. Sometimes it is a process, and the signs are often quieter than we expect. A dog may show trust by turning their back to you. In the wild logic of the body, turning away is vulnerable. So look at the whole body. Loose shoulders, soft ears. Slow breathing, no tension around the mouth. That is not distance. That is trust resting in the open. A dog may show trust by looking at you after a strange sound. That tiny glance is social referencing. They are checking your reaction to decide how serious the sound is. If you stay calm, they may calm too. You are helping them interpret reality. A dog may show trust by bringing you a toy, then not playing. Humans often think they want fetch. Sometimes they do. But sometimes the object itself is the message. This matters to me, and I am bringing it near you. A dog may show trust by following you from room to room without asking for attention. Not clingy, not needy, just tracking the location of safety. A dog may show trust by sleeping near your feet. Not on top of you, not dramatically. Just close enough to know when you move. Close enough to be part of your rhythm. And some dogs show their deepest loyalty during your worst moments. Not because they understand the story. They do not know the name of the loss. They do not understand the email, the diagnosis, the argument, or the fear you keep hidden in your chest. But they know when your breathing changes. They know when your smell shifts under stress. They know when your movements slow down. They know when the house feels different because you feel different. And they come closer. Not with advice. Not with questions. Just presence. A warm body near the pain. A head on the floor beside your bed. A silent shadow outside the bathroom door. A small creature saying the only way they can. I do not know what hurt you, but I know you are not the same. So I will stay. This is why the favorite person question is bigger than jealousy. It is not just about who gets the greeting at the door. It is about who becomes the dog's emotional landmark. The one they check during uncertainty. The one they relax around when the world becomes too loud. The one whose absence changes the air. The one whose return makes the body exhale. And sometimes, that person is the one who feeds them. Sometimes it is the one who trained them. Sometimes it is the child who grew up beside them. Sometimes it is the quiet person in the house who barely says anything, but never frightens them. Sometimes it changes over time. A puppy may choose one person. An older dog may choose another. A rescued dog may take months before choosing anyone. And a traumatized dog may not choose with excitement at all. They may choose by resting 5 inches closer than yesterday. That counts. That may be the beginning of everything. So when your dog picks a favorite person, do not reduce it to food. Do not reduce it to obedience. And please do not reduce it to dominance. Your dog is not looking for the strongest ruler in the room. They are looking for the safest nervous system. The person whose presence says, "You can stop bracing now." The person whose voice means, "Nothing bad is happening." The person whose hands mean, "I will not take choice away from you." The person whose rhythm becomes familiar enough to become home. This is what Gregory Berns was really searching for after Newton died. Not a cute answer. Not a comforting fantasy. Evidence. Something inside the dog that showed the human mattered. And after years of training dogs to enter scanners awake, after watching their brains respond to praise, scent, signals, and choice, the answer came back in a language science could read. Dogs know us, not as abstract owners, not as job titles, not only as the person who pays for food. They know our scent, our voice, our timing, our emotional weather, our nervous system signature. They carry us as patterns in the brain, the way we carry them as patterns in memory. The couch, the walk, the small weight against the leg, the sound of paws following us down a hallway, the breath beside the bed, the glance that says, "Are we okay?" So tonight, when your dog looks at you a little longer than necessary, do not rush past it. When they lie down near you and sigh, do not call it nothing. When they follow you quietly into another room, do not assume they are only bored. And if they choose someone else first, do not let that become a wound. Let it become understanding. Because love in dogs is not always a performance. Sometimes it is chemistry. Sometimes it is memory. Sometimes it is the secure base effect hidden inside an ordinary afternoon. Sometimes it is a dog choosing the person whose presence makes the world less frightening. And if you are still building that place in your dog's mind, keep going, softly, consistently, without force. You are not losing a contest. You are becoming readable. You are becoming familiar. You are becoming safe. And for a dog, safe is not a small word. Safe is where love begins. Tell me in the comments, what was the quiet moment that made you realize who your dog's person was? Not the obvious moment, the strange little one. The way they looked back at someone during a walk. The way they chose one room during a storm. The way they carried a toy to one person and not another. The way they slept beside someone when the house went silent. Because sometimes, understanding dogs does not begin with training them. It begins with noticing how deeply they have been reading us all along. And maybe, when a dog chooses their person, they are not saying, "You give me the most." Maybe they are saying, "When I am near you, I can finally stop being afraid."